Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to another episode of All Hands on Deck. I'm Katherine McBean, and today I want to talk to you about a couple of things. One, I've had a few questions about why I started All Hands on Deck and what is or was or will be the purpose of it. And that fundamentally remained the same, and I'll share that shortly. And then also in the what comes next after we win conversation. And by win, I will talk about that in a little bit more detail. But by win, I mean ensuring that the majority are awake, or certainly on the path to awakening to the truth in real, real numbers, real numbers. So starting off, I initially created All Hands on Deck. I had a few names I was looking at, like Mission Control and various other things, but they didn't feel right. There were words involved, you know what I'm like, language matters. And there were words involved that I wasn't comfortable with. So I chose All Hands on Deck. And the reason being is that I predicted we will come to a point, I still stand by it, as things stand, anything can change, but as things stand, where we will have to push back. Again, I'm looking at non-violent, no anger, no frustration, just cool, calm heads doing what needs to be done. And I feel that there's going to need to be collaboration, communication, and coordination in order to achieve what we needed to achieve. So I was thinking, well, there's nobody at the moment who, as far as I'm aware, has a podcast that could work incredibly hard to ensure that all communications groups, gatherings, initiatives were working in a kind of coordinated manner in order to achieve our end goals. So I felt like we could use All Hands on Deck as, if you like, a central communication base to let everyone know what everyone else was doing, what was going on, make sure that people were coordinating and collaborating at all times where possible. And it was all very smooth. It was all very smooth. I still stand by the fact there's still a good chance that actually might be required. Now, with things moving as fast as they are in the US, I put out a post on X yesterday, day before, I can't even remember now, suggesting that and I said to people to bookmark this because I think there's a really good chance that the results, the true results of the 2020 election in the US will actually come out before the elections in November hit. Quite a big claim to make, but I obviously still look into all this stuff on the regular, and the amount of things at the moment that are dropping in the US to support the fact that exposure is needed on this and will come is very, very strong at the moment. So I think there's a really good chance that will happen. And people say, well, how would that be a benefit? If Trump wins, so the election happens, say, in November, and Trump wins, excuse me, and it's proven that he's won, I still think there's a very strong chance that the bad guys will bring something major to interfere with this happening. And I mean, a lot of this I think is all playing out for the normies. This is the Great Awakening in true honesty, but that also could involve some kickback. So if you're on Trump's team and you don't want there to be civil war or something big going off, you have to sidestep the opportunity for that even happening. Now, the way to sidestep that from happening is to prove that 2020 was stolen, because I assume that would automatically mean that he hadn't served the term he was supposed to have, i.e. he's owed a term, and he will be given that term without the need for an election. I don't know. I don't understand the laws enough, and I don't know if this has ever happened before, a scenario like this in US history. I'm pretty sure it hasn't, or I'd know about it, but I'm assuming that would be the path. So if you want to divert away from potential, calamities that they would bring on a global scale, and they may still, the cornered animal, it's got to turn and fight for its life. What's it going to do? So this is just me sharing where my thoughts are at and how I've been actually for quite a long time. As you'll see through, if you follow me on X, you'll see for quite a long time I've been feeling this way. So I think there's a strong chance that happens, and fraud vitiates everything else. So then you find out through that how many countries were involved in the 2020 steal, what that looked like. I know the UK was, and we'll see what that looks like. It is going to really drop a bomb on the establishment. But as well as the other countries. And also what it then does is fully wake up the normies to the fact, hang on a minute, those lot that were screaming about the 2020 election being stolen were right. Bugger, what else are they right about? and things roll, you know, and roll. So there's a good chance that will happen. But also, I'm a plan for the worst, hope for the best kind of gal. So there might not be able to sidestep reactions and the bad guys kicking off. There may not be a way to sidestep it. I don't know. So in terms of my planning, which is what I tend to do, I felt that there needed to be a platform in the UK that allowed some coordination to push back. And so that's why I created All Hands on Deck. That's why it's called All Hands on Deck, because it will literally be all of us having to step forward and play a role in this. And I've been looking at different ways with which to get people to coordinate. I was thinking earlier about creating a political party that could take a more centrist role in terms of policy, but it was purely focused on the decentralization of what comes next. What do we do? And how do we trigger decentralization, as well as bringing justice and accountability, absolutely overhauling the judicial system, all the elements we know need looking at, all of it. What I think will happen is we'll reach a point when the establishment will be fully exposed. Who comes in at that point and takes the lead, I don't know. Whether it is we, the people, that will have to ensure that happens, or whether there's already a designated person or party to do that. However, I don't yet see any party with any welly that I feel properly aligned with personally. Um, you know, Reform have been very, very, very quiet throughout the last couple of weeks. The only one I've seen really saying anything that I've liked regularly and sensibly and with the calm I want to see happen was Ben Habib. But the rest, no, there's just not an alignment for me fully. I'm just going to be honest about it. There are obviously elements that I completely agree with, and their policy looks a lot better than others. But the last couple of weeks, there's not been a huge amount of response from Reform in terms of losing our civil liberties, i.e., the freedom of speech. So I've got some question marks. And what I think needs to happen is there needs to be a transitionary government that comes in, very temporary, very much a temporary situation, who come in, ideally elected, but whether we have the time frame to do that, I don't know, but would certainly trigger a general election for 6 months later down the line to give people like myself or others who've never held a political position. And don't get me wrong, I don't believe in our political system, but there has to be a transition. You're going to take a lot of shell-shocked normies and try and move them into a more golden age. And if people out there, and I get criticized for this a lot, but if people out there think that is happening overnight, you are, I'm afraid, very much mistaken. We've got to stay with one foot in reality. We have to. And in order to do what we need to do, we are going to need to have a transitionary government who will come in, who will very quickly replace the judiciary with sound judges, who will trigger what needs to happen in terms of accountability and justice, but will also start working with the councils, because let's say, I've said it before and I'll say it again, those county councils and some town councils absolutely need full independent audits and overhauls. There need to be people fired across the board. And I think senior council officials from now on, county council, they need to be elected completely across the board. So that they are far more accountable to the public. We haven't had that really. And we've watched our money get spaffed on paying off debts and housing people from other countries over infrastructure on a local level, our education system, which I have huge issues with. But nonetheless, the education system, health, you know, infrastructure, so on and so forth. So, but we need a central government to do that, because they hold at the moment the coffers. Unless, again, things can happen, things can change. That might, or someone else has got a plan and things might shift. But again, plan for the worst, hope for the best. So they hold the central coffers, and you need a good transitional government in there to start releasing those funds in greater numbers back to the councils once they're sorted, and allowing, and back to local. I'm not just talking county here. Go through local, go through town, go through district, go through village. You know, the more you can feed power back to the people, and that does come with funding, it has to, the better. And what I would encourage everyone to do is, when you've got parish, local, town, village, whatever, council elections, or that like council is trying to get some support, then get involved with it. We've got by-elections next year. Really good opportunity. Remember, it only takes 2 people on a council to oppose whether it be net zero crap, whatever crap they're coming up with. Only takes 2 people on a council to fuck it up for everyone else. 2. We got a good chance of achieving that, guys. You know, that is absolutely doable. Again, this might be null and void because we do not know for certainty what's going to happen in the next 6 months. But let's cover our bases. Let's be sensible and cover our bases. So start thinking about that. And then if they do launch a 6-month election campaign run, we need as many people standing up to become an MP. I can't think of anything more vile in some respects, and in others, I think, you know, it's an absolute honour and privilege that people would get to represent their communities. Excuse me. So I would probably stand. I would stand, let's be honest, in terms to support a transition, taking the power back to the people. And that doesn't mean you don't have MPs and you don't have a central government, but their power is like this in comparison to where we're at now. And in the fullness of time, you'd hope there'd be a position you could eradicate the lot. But we'll see. The power needs to come back to the communities first and foremost. So we're going to see more truth bombs coming over the next few weeks, in through September into October. I'm in no doubt. I think it's going to be October when the 2020 election results will be clarified, officially, the correct ones. I could be wrong. This could all be pie in the sky and I'm talking absolute shit, but I don't know. I don't know. I've got a really strong feeling on this one. Could be wrong, but and it's not just a feeling either, it's the evidence that's mounting up and becoming more public. I don't think we're far away. It could be even September. It could be next week. I mean, none of us know, do we? Now, I expect the bad guys to come back with everything they've got in their arson. Arson? That's not the right word at all. Arsenal, thank you. So I think, you know, more this World War III thing, which is heating up every single day. Potentially another virus, you know, the narrative's gone back up a little bit on that one. You know, we've got the DNC coming up. I don't even know if Harris will be kept in or in Waltz. I don't know if they'll be kept in. Is it too late in the day for them to switch a Rooney? No. Would it make things very, very difficult in terms of donors and so forth? Yes. But then we saw them do a switch, which apparently was illegal, in terms of the donations that went from Biden to Harris. So, you know, they're going to pull out the bag, whatever they can pull out the bag. But in the UK, what we're looking for is full exposure of the establishment. So I'm going to switch my focus from more US based, which is what it's been for probably the last 6-7 years, into more UK focus. I think it's time we started doing that. We started questioning people like I did it this morning, Starmer and Downing Street, as to why someone like Jimmy Savile was basically let off. You know, there's been some really weird behaviors by people in our government, and we need to expose that. We need to show the world that, because the sooner people wake up, the sooner this is over. We all freaking know that. We need to ensure that we turn up the heat. We turn up the heat bigly, and we don't let our foot off the gas. Do not be intimidated by, you know, this whole censorship czar crap that they're coming out with. They want you scared. They want you quiet. They want us shut up, not talking the truth anymore. Well, to me, that's just a red rag to a bull, because I'm just going to do it more. Not being childish or anything, except I really am. So I think that we need to consider the fact there's a good chance the next few months everything's going to explode, whether that be with truth bombs, whether that be with the bad guys in self-defense mode. We need to think about what comes next. Once there's been the explosions and you've got the majority certainly awakening to the reality, and there's going to be lots of, you know, well, it's like the cognitive dissonance. They're going to be pushing back. They're not going to want to see it. It's the whole grieving process we're going to have to go through. I suggest we spend our time wisely, because we're going to have to force government to hold elections. And we're going to need those people to understand that they come in as a transitionary government. That's what we're looking for. That's what we need. We need to start decentralization. We need to bring justice. We need to correct the problems we've got. We need to sort out our economy. And again, lots of other things could happen with the economy. I'm not suggesting I know the answers, but we've all heard the rumors that there's various different financial systems to come into place to correct the situation that we're in. We don't know for sure whether that's happening. I like to think it is. But again, I'd rather plan for the worst and hope for the best, guys. And currently, if you look at it very much in a 3D position, our children's futures are fucked. financially, because of the way previous governments and current government are spaffing our money. So I just want to share this with you. I'm a planner. I think that's become quite clear. I like to get the foundations of solutions into place so that if the ball drops, there's a something, there's a safety net, there's a plan, there's something that can come off the ground very, very quickly. So that's currently what I've been doing. In terms of my personal situation, I just had a second interview yesterday. I've got another interview tomorrow. I'm going to be hopefully starting work at the beginning of September, full-time work. But I want to still build this in. However, it's going to become increasingly more difficult if we do need to go all hands on deck full time for me to do that. So I'm going to drop the link below for my fundraiser. If anyone can help out, I'd be most grateful because I'm absolutely screwed at the moment. But I want to keep doing this moving forward. And it's going to take people like me who do think ahead, who do understand the bigger picture, who've doing this for donkey's years, who understand the psychology of what's taking place in this country at the moment. Well, not just this country, it's across the world. Who don't have fear, who aren't easily intimidated. Someone said to me earlier on X, you know, you really want to think about whether you stand as an MP or create a political party, because they will dig and pull up everything on you. And I'm very aware of this. I've spoken to my kids even when I was considering it last time and said, you know, how do you feel about this? Because it'll be full exposure, we'll be harassed, we'll have shit going on. And they were all supportive of me. They all just like, mum, literally, this has been, you know, your life's work. If you want to do it, do it. We're ready for it. And I've gone back through my past and thought about all the things I've done. And I'm no angel, and I've done bad things, and I've done things that I'm not proud of, and I've done things that have hurt other people much more when I was younger, granted. But I've never done anything newsworthy. I've never done anything particularly exciting. You know, have I smoked weed in the past? Yes, I did. Did I try other drugs when I was younger? Yes, I did. Very, very temporarily, over a few months. But I did. And was it stupid? Well, probably. But you know, whatever. I'm human. It means I am far from perfect, and I've made mistakes. And but have I done anything awful? No, I haven't. Never. So I would probably still go for it. And the reason I say that so flippantly is because of the fact that we are going to need to have some courage. We are going to need to have some bravery. We are going to need to have some people who are prepared to make sacrifices. But this is a massive moment in human history. If you think for a minute, every single person gets out of this unscathed. Well, we're already seeing that isn't the case. It isn't the case. And it's sad and it's hard. But there were always going to be casualties of war. But we still need to move forward. We still can't allow our emotions to overwhelm us to the point where we lose logic and we're not thinking sensibly about things. So anyway, rambled on a little bit this morning, but I just wanted to share that with you guys as to where we're at. You know, the mainstream media are dead. Overall, they haven't realized it yet that they're on life support, but that's exactly where they are. They're on life support at the moment, and it won't be long before we pull the plug on them. They're already struggling. We saw the Elon Musk Trump interview the other night. I think I can't even remember how many views, millions of views now. And the narrative is shifting fast. It's the diehards that are the problem. We know that, but I still hold faith that the majority of them will come through the other side. It's going to be tough, and we're going to need everyone at community level to reach out to those who are awakening and guide them through it, hold their hand, support them through it. It's not going to be easy. It's not their fault. Yes, it's been frustrating. Yes, it's annoying. Yes, some of them are right arrogant twats, quite frankly, but they're not the enemy. They're not the enemy. They're a threat, but they're not the enemy. So bear all that in mind. Do I start a political party to help try and get into government next time there's the opportunity, or to force government to hold a general election once the ball drops? Do we then look at it as purely as a transitionary political party to make happen what needs to happen, and then we'll return the power back to the people, and we're no longer needed, certainly not in the capacity that it is now? Is that what I do with my time? And if I do so, you know, I've got to think about practical things like paying my bills. I hate to say it, but that's the reality of life. Am I right to rely on public to support me funding wise to do that? I don't know. I'd love to get your thoughts on all of this. This is just where my mind's at. I'm very open and honest, and you know, I wear my heart on my sleeve with a lot of this stuff. Um, Am I worried? No, not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. I'm actually loving it. I was on the phone to a friend yesterday, hadn't spoken to him for a few weeks. I'm very much awake and aware. And he said, "How are you doing?" I said, "I'm brilliant. I'm actually brilliant. I feel fantastic and I feel very positive, very excited, loving the energy right now. Understanding there's a whole load of people that they're going off to the 5D. They're getting ready for what's on the other side of all of this. And that's fantastic. But I'm not prepared to leave people behind yet. I'm not prepared to leave people behind. That's kind of been my MO. I could easily go off and do my own thing and live in a very much more peaceful life. But at the same time, I believe I was born here for this moment to help get people through and to help bring in what comes next, but doing it in the right way and, you know, helping support that transition. So let me know your thoughts. Do I do a political party? Do I not do a political party? Do I focus more on all hands on deck? And if the shit hits the fan, that's what all hands on deck is there then for, to help coordinate, collaborate, communicate, get these groups moving together and individuals moving together. Or do I do something else? Do I just carry on explaining what's been happening, why we got to this position, where I think things are going? But I'd really love to hear your thoughts. So do please put them below. I'm now able to comment properly on YouTube. I've got over that hurdle that was being a bit of a pain. So I'd love to connect with you guys more and have those conversations in the comment section. So do please like, subscribe, share, get this out there if you feel it's of any value to you or others whatsoever. I'm more than happy to get the feedback, and I'm more than happy to roll with what people feel is the best thing for me to do in my spare time once I'm working full time. So let me know. Have a great week. God bless. Hold tight. It's fine. It's all good. It's all going exactly as I'm more than happy to see it go. And whilst there are the tough parts, granted, we're going through the biggest that history tells us, you know, their history, the biggest shift for humanity that as far as we're aware has ever happened. So yeah, stay calm. It's all good. God bless, and we'll speak soon. Lots of love.